Hi, welcome to Audiobook Academy. This is a self-paced audiobook. There's no need to keep an eye on things. Just pay attention. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Book summary of Awaken the Giant Within by Anthony Robbins. When you want to make a difference in your life, the first step is to elevate your expectations and think that you can achieve them. Before we can reach the new requirements, we must adjust our mindset and establish a sense of assurance that we can and will do so. What molds our lives isn't what we do once in a while, but what we do on a regular basis. The following are the 3 choices that will determine your fate. 1. It's up to you to decide what you want to focus on. 2. Make decisions about what matters to you. 3. You can immediately produce a powerful and measurable change in your life by changing any one of these 5 elements, whether it's a core belief or a rule, a value, a reference, a question, or an emotional state. By changing any one of these 5 elements. Everything you and I do is motivated by our desire to avoid pain or gain pleasure. Not it's the events of our lives that shape us, but our beliefs about what those events mean. When you truly want to make a difference, the first step is to elevate your standards and believe you can achieve them. Before we can reach the new requirements, we must adjust our mindset and establish a sense of assurance that we can and will do so. Many people know what to do in life, but only a small percentage of them actually do it. In essence, we must take charge of our constant acts if we wish to direct our life. What molds our lives isn't what we do once in a while, but what we do on a regular basis. Your fate is shaped in the moments when you make decisions. You must decide not just on the outcomes you want to achieve, but also on the type of person you want to become. If you don't establish a baseline level for what you'll tolerate in your life, it'll be all too easy to fall into habits and attitudes that are well below what you deserve. You can do practically anything if you sincerely want to. The ultimate success formula, which is a simple method for achieving where you want to go. Decide what you want, take action, observe what works and what doesn't, then change your strategy until you get it. True decision-making entails committing to a goal and then closing oneself off from all other options. The following are the 3 choices that will determine your fate. Your decisions on what to focus on, what things mean to you, and what to do to get the results you want are all your decisions. It's likely that whatever problems you're facing now may have been averted if you'd made better choices earlier. Your master system is made up of 5 parts. Your unconscious principles and fundamental beliefs, your life values, your references, your habitual questions, the emotional states you encounter in each instant. You may make an instant and measurable impact in your life by changing any one of the 5 elements, whether it's a basic belief or rule, a value, a reference, a question, or an emotional state. Good judgment is the key to success. Good judgment is the consequence of experience, and bad judgment is frequently the result of experience. You must have a long-term concentration in order to succeed. God's delays aren't the same as God's denials. If you persist, what appears unattainable in the near term can often become extremely possible in the long run. Keep in mind the true power of decision-making. Recognize that making a sincere commitment, a true decision, is the most difficult step in attaining anything. One of the most important rules I've established for myself is to never leave the scene of a choice without first taking concrete steps toward its implementation. Make frequent decisions and learn from them. What's positive about this? Ask yourself when you're having a problem. What am I supposed to take out from this? Maintain your commitment to your decisions while remaining adaptable in your approach. Remember that it is your choices, not your circumstances, that determine your fate. Everything you and I do is motivated by either a desire to avoid pain or a desire to experience pleasure. For the most part, the fear of losing outweighs the desire to gain. Why is it that people can be in suffering and still refuse to change? They haven't gone through enough suffering yet, they haven't reached what Tony Robbins refers to as an emotional threshold. We will avoid indulging in any habit or mental pattern if we can relate significant misery to it. What we do is determined by our neuroassociations, or the connections we've made in our neural systems. When we're in a powerful emotional state, such as when we're experiencing acute pain or pleasure, anything unusual that happens on a regular basis becomes neurologically linked. Most of us make judgments based on what will cause us pain or pleasure in the near term rather than what would benefit us in the long run. It is our fear of anything leading to pain that drives us, not real suffering. And it's not so much genuine pleasure that motivates us as it is our conviction, our sense of certainty, that adopting a particular action will result in pleasure. We are driven by our impression of reality rather than reality itself. Remember that anything worthwhile requires you to endure some short-term discomfort in order to earn long-term pleasure. It is our views about what those events signify that shape us, not the events themselves. It's never the environment, It's never the events of our life that determine who we are today and who will become tomorrow, but the meaning we assign to those events, how we interpret them. Beliefs are the compass that shows us what will cause us pain and what will offer us joy. Your brain asks two questions whenever something happens in your life. Is this going to be painful or enjoyable? What do I need to do now to avoid suffering and/or enjoy pleasure? The task is divided into three parts. Most of us don't choose what we believe deliberately. Often, our views are founded on misinterpretations of prior events. Once we embrace a concept, we forget it's just an interpretation. Global beliefs are the big ideas we hold about everything in our lives, including our identities, others, work, leisure, money, and even life itself. These massive generalizations are frequently expressed as is/am/are, life is, I am, people are, and so on. If you imagine an idea as a tabletop without legs, you'll have a good notion of why it doesn't feel as secure as a conviction. That tables won't even stand up on its own if it doesn't have any legs. Belief, on the other hand, is a living thing. How do you know you're sexy if you truly believe I'm sexy? Isn't it true that you have some references to back up your claim, some personal experiences to back it up? Those are the legs that support your tabletop and give you confidence in your beliefs. We sometimes obtain references from other people's information, as well as from books, tapes, movies, and other media. And, on occasion, we make references simply based on our imagination. Personal experiences that we have a lot of emotion tied to because they were painful or enjoyable experiences build the strongest and most robust legs. If you can create the absolute sense of assurance that powerful beliefs bring, you can do practically anything, including things that other people believe are impossible. The most successful method is to train your brain to link severe pain with the previous idea. Only when new experiences compel us to rethink our views do we change. Remember that once we believe something, we don't question it any longer. If you question something often enough, you'll start to doubt it. Opinions, beliefs, and convictions are the three types of beliefs I've identified. An opinion is something we feel reasonably convinced about, yet that certainty is just momentary because it is readily swayed. A belief, on the other hand, develops as we begin to build a much broader foundation of reference legs, particularly reference legs about which we feel strongly. A conviction, on the other hand, outperforms a belief, owing to the emotional intensity that a person associates with an idea. A person who has a conviction not only feels certain, but also becomes enraged if their conviction is even questioned. A person who has a conviction is unwilling to question their sources, even for a second. They are completely resistant to new information, often to the point of obsession. Someone who has a conviction is so committed to their belief that they are willing to risk rejection or make a fool of themselves for it. So, how do you instill conviction? Begin with the fundamental belief. Reinforce your belief by adding new and more powerful references. Next, find or create a triggering event. By asking yourself, what will it cost me if I don't? You can fully associate yourself. Ask questions that elicit emotional arousal in you. Finally, take action. Every action you take strengthens your commitment and increases the level of emotional intensity and conviction in you. The best way to expand our lives is to imitate the lives of those who are already successful. It's simply a matter of asking questions like, what do you believe distinguishes you? What are your beliefs that set you apart from others? I ask myself the following questions at the end of each day. What did I discover today? What did I add or how did I improve? What did I find enjoyable? NAC is a step-by-step process that can condition your nervous system to associate pleasure with things you want to keep moving toward and pain with things you want to keep moving away from in order to succeed consistently in life without constant effort or willpower. We all want to change one of two things: 1, how we feel about things, or 2, how we behave. A person must have 3 specific beliefs about responsibility if they are to effect long-term change. First, we must think that something must change, not that it should change, not that it might or ought to change, but that it absolutely must. Second, we must believe that I must change it. Third, we must believe that I can change. When we have a substantial quantity of pain or pleasure, our brains look for the source and register it in our neurological system so that we can make better decisions in the future. When you feel a lot of pain or pleasure, your brain goes into overdrive to figure out what's causing it. It employs the 3 criteria listed below. Your brain searches for anything that appears to be one of a kind, something that appears to be happening at the same time, and consistency. So frequently, we blame the incorrect cause and, as a result, exclude ourselves from potential remedies. The difference between performing badly and brilliantly is determined by the state of your mind and or body at any particular time, not by your abilities. Motion is the source of emotion. Concentrate on where you want to go rather than what you're afraid of. Our power to alter our feelings is contingent on our ability to alter our submodalities. In order to succeed, you must be a determined individual. I realize that the act of thinking is nothing more than the process of asking and answering questions. A quality existence begins with a quality set of questions. Consistent, high-quality inquiries lead to actual quality of life. 3 things are accomplished by asking questions. Questions affect what we focus on and, as a result, how we feel. Questions change what we delete. Questions change the resources we have at our disposal. Simply shifting our focus, you and I can change how we feel in an instant. Modeling the habitual questions of individuals I genuinely like is one of the methods I've learned to improve the quality of my existence. The words you use on a regular basis have an impact on how you communicate with yourself and, as a result, what you experience. People with a limited vocabulary have a limited emotional life. People with extensive vocabularies have a wide range of colors with which to paint their experiences, not just for others but also for themselves. You may instantly transform how you think, feel, and live by just changing your habitual vocabulary, the words you habitually use to describe the emotions in your life. We must consciously choose the words we will use in order to affect our lives and mold our destiny, and we must continually seek to expand our level of choice. Setting objectives is the first step toward making the unseen apparent, which is the cornerstone for all life achievement. All goal setting must be promptly followed by the creation of a plan as well as huge and persistent action to achieve those goals. It's not just about achieving a goal, but also about the quality of life you have along the road. Remember that our goal is not to disregard life's issues, but to improve our mental and emotional states so that we can not only think of solutions, but also act on them. We must keep in mind that all decision-making is based on the clarity of values. Only by living by our highest principles and continuously acting in accordance with what we believe our lives are genuinely about can we achieve long-term happiness. Many people have a clear sense of what they want but are unsure about who they want to be. Remember that whatever your values are, they are the compass that will lead you to your final goal. If you're having trouble making a major decision, it's almost always due to a lack of clarity about your principles. To value something is to attach importance to it. Anything you cherish can be referred to as a value. People are often so preoccupied with pursuing means values that they fail to realize their genuine desire, their ends values. Your value hierarchy is in charge of how you make decisions in the present. We must keep in mind that whenever we make a decision on what to do, our brain first assesses whether the activity will result in joyful or painful feelings. Most of us have devised a plethora of ways to make ourselves feel miserable, but just a few ways to actually feel happy. What criteria do we use to determine if a regulation empowers or disempowers us? There are 3 main criteria to consider. It's a disempowering rule if it's impossible to follow. It's a disempowering rule if anything outside of your control determines whether or not your rule has been followed. It's a disempowering rule if it provides you only a few nice feelings and a lot of bad feeling. After we've decided on our values, we'll need to figure out what evidence we'll need before we can enjoy ourselves. We need to create rules that will lead us in the direction of our values, that will be clearly attainable, and that will be based on criteria that we can personally manage, so that we can ring the bell instead of waiting for the outside world to do it. If you're ever furious or upset with someone, realize that it's your rules, not their conduct, that's bothering you. The rules of must and must never are threshold rules, while the rules of should and should never are personal standard norms. Create own rules so that you are in charge, and not the outside world determines whether you are happy or sad. Make it as simple as possible for you to feel good and as difficult as possible for you to feel unpleasant. The more references we have and the higher the quality of those references, the more options we have. We can more effectively analyze what things signify and what we can do if we have a larger quantity and higher quality of references. Once again, our beliefs are clearly determined by our readings of our sources, or the way we organize them. The goal is to broaden the range of references available in your life. Seek for experiences that enhance your understanding of who you are and what you're capable of, and organize your references in empowering ways. Because whether something is good or awful is all depending on what you're comparing it to. How we use our references will affect how we feel. You aren't even restricted to using your own personal experiences as a source of information. Other people's references can be borrowed. A life with few references is a life with few possibilities. If you wish to broaden your horizons, you must broaden your references by exploring ideas and experiences that you would not have encountered unless you actively sought them out. Whether or not our perceptions of ourselves are accurate, we will all act in accordance with them. Our conduct will alter to support our new identity as we create new beliefs about who we are. If you've tried and failed to make a change in your life, It's almost always because you are attempting to make a behavioral or emotional shift that was at odds with your self-perception. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Please don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you in next audiobook.